Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Yes, it's been an entertaining time in college football the last 24 hours. Very entertaining. Yes. We talked a little bit about Matthew Sluka yesterday, the former quarterback at UNLV. And as we said, there are multiple layers to it. Like, what did the assistant coach, offensive coordinator promise him? Was it backed up by somebody else in the organization? Then what are the circumstances surrounding the quarterback? Well, first of all, his agent, let's start with this basic, is not registered in Nevada. Whoops. Now, I should point out his agent, by the way, is also Patrick Mahomes' agent. Okay. But the last I checked, Mahomes plays in Missouri and not in Nevada.
That's yep.
Yeah. So, his agent, who, by the way, played football against Penn State when he was at Wisconsin. In fact, he may have played for Brett Bielema, to be honest with you. Is not registered in Nevada. No. Not good. Which means he is not allowed to engage in negotiations with the collective because he's not registered in Nevada. And more you're finding out that starting on August 28th, the quarterback wanted more money. Both from his family saying that, and the collective people saying that. The collective people have been pretty outspoken about this. And it's a mess. It's not what longtime college football fans are even remotely used to, which then brings us to Bear Alexander. The USC defensive tackle did not practice yesterday. Why? He wants the red shirt. Now, I've talked about this many times over the last couple of years, that after game 4 of a season, and I've said this many times, after game 4 of a season, you have to watch and see what people do. Because you're allowed to play 4 games without losing your eligibility. And he's looking around saying, nah, I think I'm done. I need a red shirt. Didn't say he was transferring, but
Right.
I think it's the writing is on the wall.
No doubt. Yeah.
They say he's not playing enough. Okay. And he's played about maybe a third of the snaps so far. He played more than 20 snaps against LSU, more than 20 against Michigan, but Utah State, which is an easy game for USC, he played like 18 or 19. He's not starting. He missed a lot of the spring. The coaching staff has challenged him, like, hey, come on. You got to be out there. You got to do this. In the opening depth chart, he was listed as an or. Okay, that's fine. No problem there. And has not started, but has played. And has played in the fourth quarter of games, by the way. And so between these two, spots. You have a lot of questions. So Sluka leaves an undefeated team. He claims there was a verbal offer of $100,000 from an assistant coach. The father, Bob Sluka, and by the way, Sluka, when he was at Holy Cross, was a terrific player. I talked to the Bucknell people. They said this guy destroyed us. I'm like, okay. The father, Bob Sluka, told ESPN that head coach Barry Odom later said in a phone conversation the offer wasn't valid because it didn't come from him, but rather from offensive coordinator Brendan Marion, who declined to comment to ESPN. UNLV said Wednesday in a statement that Sluka's representative made financial demands upon the university and its NIL collective in order to continue playing. But again, the problem is his agent is not registered in Nevada. And that is a problem here in all of this. They can't talk to him. They say because the offensive coordinator's offer to Sluka was verbal and never formalized, there are varying versions of what happened. They say that Sluka approached Odom about the money in recent days and practiced Monday with the Rebels, but then didn't practice Tuesday. He announced later on Tuesday on social media he was done playing and planned a redshirt. The only formal offer from the school, according to Marcus Cromartie, who was his agent, was one for $3,000 a month for 4 months. So far, the only money Sluka received from UNLV, according to Cromartie, was $3,000 in moving expenses. Now, there are reports emerging that Sluka started asking for more money. He insists all he was asking for is what he was, quote, verbally promised, with no contract required up front because of the vagaries of NIL rules and third parties technically in charge of giving the athletes the deals. The ambiguity over the validity of the verbal offer hangs over the enterprise of college athletics. You have verbal agreements, but that's because you can't sign your name.
That's right. That's right. And
it's just awful.
Yeah, the trust level that I get to sometimes, though, I'll tell you, just do we cheat them and have they've not failed me yet, thankfully. When you have that law firm for you, I think they haven't failed anybody because, there are no tactics. That's right. That's right. That's why I keep the trust level.
There are no rules on tactics with that law firm. No rules. According to the father and to Marcus Cromartie, who is the agent, at no time did Sluka ask for an adjustment in the initial deal he was promised. When he reported to UNLV in the summer, he was told the money would be distributed on a payment plan. He was later told that payment would come after he enrolled in school and began classes. That's according to the dad. School and the collective did formally offer $3,000 a month for 4 months, according to Cromartie, which is $88,000 less than what Sluka and Cromartie were told verbally last winter. After the season began, Cromartie contacted Shannon Cottrell, the director of athlete engagement for the Friends of UNLV Collective, and the director of player development, Hunky Cooper. They keep deferring. We don't know. You have to wait. Then it was like, well, we're going to give him game checks. So we're like, okay, great. We did not ask for a single dollar more. At one point, we are out of pocket for him to be here because his expenses to live there weren't even being covered. The father then said that Marion and his agents from Equity Sports agreed to a verbal deal in the winter. after a recruiting visit where they spent most of their time with Marion, but also met with the entire coaching staff. The father, Bob Sluka, went on to say, "We left there understanding that we were going to get a certain dollar amount for Matt to come here on the NIL deal, not a blowout number, but a reasonable, fair number." He added that Matt had later received more than 25 NIL offers from other schools, including Big Ten and SEC teams, that were 4 times the amount of money they were willing to take from UNLV. Sluka didn't decide to leave the team because the money didn't materialize and take advantage of his redshirt opportunity. Because, again, how many games have they played? 3. You play 4 or fewer games, you can redshirt. He already played 4 seasons at Holy Cross. And you cannot transfer from one school to another during the season. You're not allowed to. By the way, UNLV is 3-0 for the first time since 1984. Now, he's been actually as much a running threat as he has been a passing threat. He's 21 of 48 under the Mendoza line for 318 yards, 6 touchdowns, but he only has 1 interception. So he's plus 5 there. He's also averaging 7 yards a carry, 286 yards on just 39 carries. Very impressive. After the victory over, who'd they beat? Kansas? Yeah. Bob Sluka, the father, said Cromartie spoke with Cooper in the stadium tunnel about Sluka's deal, and Cooper said to call him the following week. September 19th, Cooper and Odom called Cromartie. Bob Sluka said the call yielded the idea that Marion didn't have the authority to make that caliber of an offer. Bob Sluka said the family never heard from UNLV's collective and is in a state of confusion about what happened. We have no idea what happened, Bob Sluka said. Yeah. No one can explain this. Why would you let your starting quarterback walk out of the building? We did not ask for a penny more on what is agreed upon this winter. Okay? And he has all sorts of records at Holy Cross, by the way. Okay? All sorts of records. Like, they played Lafayette last year. He ran for 330 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. FCS player is a really good player, and looks like he's got at least something to play in the Mountain West. Now plans to work out with a quarterback trainer, enroll at a school in January, learn their system, something he was not able to do at UNLV because he had to graduate from Holy Cross. So he already has his degree. Odom, speaking on his radio show Wednesday night, called the Rebels practice earlier in the day the team's best of the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting 2 ways here. Well, first of all, obviously, UNLV said no thanks to the Pac-12, so they
did say that. Yes,
that's the one thing there. But yeah, the other part of it, I think it's going to be. This is where I think social media gets people in trouble, unfortunately, and it's bad. It's got many great things, got many bad things. But now you're going to look at this, and there's going to be 2 fences here. Number one, we have no idea what UNLV promised them. We have no clue. And he knows that, obviously, and maybe some other people do. The school probably does too. But yeah, the other part of it is, if you're on the outside looking in, you're looking at a guy saying he's not playing because he's not getting paid $100,000. That's the one fence of it. The other fence of it is the school isn't living up to their bargain. So makes the school look bad for some people, makes the player look bad for other people. This is the unfortunate part of 2 things, social media and NIL. There's plenty of fortunate parts of both. Sometimes you get the unfortunate part of it, and this is one of those cases.
You almost made sense there. Then there's Dylan Gabriel, who's now at Oregon. Brett Venables, head coach at Oklahoma, benched his replacement Jackson Arnold in the loss to Tennessee. And he delivered his perspective on Gabriel's exit into the transfer portal. He said, "You can't make a guy stay," the Sooners third-year head coach said. "The guy is trying to find the next thing, the next chapter for him. I'm sure that there was probably some disappointment that he wasn't more highly thought of in the NFL. He had an amazing year. He's a fantastic quarterback, but we didn't run anybody off or things like that." He had a really good season last year. Oklahoma went 10-2, right? Yeah. Come from behind victory over Texas.
Texas, yeah.
Right? The one regular season loss that Texas had. But here's the issue. He did not receive a favorable NFL draft grade. And so that influenced him to come back for the 2024 season. Again, the NFL guys are not trying to recruit you. No. It doesn't mean they're always right. It doesn't mean they're always right.
No.
Okay? But when they give you a draft grade, they're like, "Hey, please become an Arizona Cardinal." No, I don't think so. According to Venables, Gabriel asked for a meeting in the days following Oklahoma's regular season finale against TCU. During the meeting, Venables said Gabriel outlined his plans to enter the transfer portal and to opt out of the Alamo Bowl against Arizona, citing the departure of offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby and a desire to play closer to home. I think Lebby, he went to Tulane?
Tulane, I think, yeah.
Yeah, as the head coach. I did not know at the time that he was going to the NFL. I didn't even know I had to fight this fight. So I didn't realize that you were even considering. I didn't even realize that you were even considering coming back. And he said, "Yeah, I just want to get closer to home." We hugged, shook hands. He was a little emotional, and as was I. And it was really good and positive. Now, Gabriel is from Hawaii.
Right.
Oregon is closer to home. And so far, off to terrific start. He's thrown for over 900 yards, 6 touchdowns. And it cleared the path for Jackson Arnold to play. But Arnold had a really shaky bowl game against Arizona. Like, he did some good things, but he also threw some interceptions. It was like, okay, that's just a one-off. Let's see what he's going to be. He's really played about the same so far. It's just, these are issues that Brett Venables didn't have to deal with when he was the defensive coordinator at Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's the Bear Alexander story. Alexander expressed displeasure with his playing time. He's going to take a red shirt. Tony Jones, who Alexander calls his father, confirmed to ESPN that Alexander doesn't plan to play the rest of the season and preserve a year of eligibility, but he does plan to stay with the USC team and practice. "We made clear what our goals are," said the father. "That goal is to be a full-time starter and leader on the defense like we came there to be." Okay. If Bear is not being a starter and playing 35 to 40 snaps a game, isn't it in the best interest? Isn't it in the best interest of the team? We need to do something different. He was not at practice yesterday, by the way. Yeah. Just so you know. I mean, he's going to stay with the team. Well, he went with the team yesterday. Yeah. There isn't a single story I just gave you that made the sport look good.
No.
None.
Nope.
Zero. There was that one story I just read to you that made the sport look good.
No, not at all. And it's like I said, it's got so many fences to it too. That's the unfortunate part of it. There's people are looking at 10 different ways, and yeah, from Gabriel's perspective, I think that's a screw up. I think on both sides. I think in the sense that that's where you have to have the conversation at some point. Obviously, you can. It's anybody's right to explore the NFL or explore anything, but that's at some point where, as a coach, you've got to have that conversation. Hey, it's a future at the quarterback position.
Well,
what's your status at some point here?
I think this is one of those deals where he sat back and said, "Okay, I got a bad draft grade quarterbacking Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Bo Nix got a great draft grade quarterbacking at Oregon.
That's a good point. Absolutely."
And I think that probably entered into sure, we can do the old closer to home thing.
Then you looked at what Nix did at Auburn as opposed to what he did at Oregon, too.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in other words, I got a bad draft grade playing for you.
Yeah.
He got a great draft grade playing over there, and now there's a vacancy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point.
I think it has to have something to do with it in terms of the mindset of it. I mean, I've never been in the same room with Dylan Gabriel, so I've never met him.
I think from an Oregon perspective too, they're looking at with Bo Nix. Look at how close we were. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer and closer every year. We need that quarterback that is not necessarily we're going to go out and recruit him. We need that guy that's going to be not necessarily surefire, but the guy that's going to give you the best chance to get over that hump, get that now Big Ten championship, which is going to be a lot tougher. And so I think that's probably where I think Oregon's looking at it too. I think they're looking at how close they were. They're looking at the guys they had coming back, and I think it worked both ways there.
Yeah. Yep. So it's.
But none of these stories have.
There's a single story I just gave you. It makes the sport look good.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yet the sport,
Because no matter what side you're on, when you're looking at the story, it's not making the sport look good. It's you're making the school look bad. You're making the player look bad. You're making the coach look bad. There's nothing good coming out of it.
Yeah. The whole thing is just. This has not been a good week for college football.
No.
And it's a week where you have Alabama playing Georgia, Penn State playing in Illinois. We got some good games out there this week.
Absolutely great games at 7:30. Yeah.
Head to head.
Yeah. Alabama Georgia is an interesting game just because Kirby Smart's only beat them once, and it feels like it's almost a you have to show something moment for Alabama.
Right. Especially in this. Neither team is going to have their college football playoff aspirations damaged by a loss.
Absolutely not.
But that's. But it's one of those very interesting, like who's better right now games. And the game's in Tuscaloosa, I believe. And so you've got that. And, of course, Penn State, Illinois, which we've talked about this week. And on Wednesday, was it yesterday? We had Lauren Tate on the show yesterday talking about it and about where they are at this particular point. Then there's the Michael Kay story. Did you see this?
I did not see that one.
The voice of the Yankees.
Yeah.
Now, he has his own talk show.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine.
Yeah, he used to have his show on both platforms, on radio and TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, Michael Kay, I've never met him, is an excellent announcer.
I've never met Kay.
Have you met him?
I've met Sterling. I've never met Kay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sterling I met when he was with the Atlanta Hawks. That was a long, long time ago. But he's been getting a little emotional on his show based on reports. And I don't understand why he pays attention to social media. I don't understand that. He went on a rant on his show yesterday. People are saying that he's a mouthpiece for Brian Cashman. And he says he's tired of hearing from the critics. He said then it turned into, well, obviously he's gotten his marching orders from Brian Cashman, and the gaslighting is beginning so that when they leave Dominguez, when they don't have Dominguez starting, he's already paved the way, Kay said, as if me on my show and in the game that I could actually pave the way for fans to not freak out, because because there's a lot of talk that Dominguez may not make the postseason roster, and Alex Verdugo would be in his place. So here's the deal. I'm going to make an offer that I've never made before. So to those fans that say I got my marching orders from Brian Cashman, I give you a standing offer of $10,000 right now, $10,000 cash, if you can prove over the last 2 months of this year that I have had an interaction with Brian Cashman. Okay? He says, walking by him, saying hello, text, anything, email, any kind of phone conversation. If you mouth-breathing lowlifes can prove that I've had interaction with Brian Cashman where he could, quote, unquote, give me his marching orders, $10,000 when you give me that proof. So he refers to them as mouth-breathing lowlifes. And it's like, why do you pay attention to that? I mean, I get confused by that. Who cares?
No, and that's.
I mean, in fact, as time has gone, when social media really started to kick into gear.
Yeah, when there was more than one.
But when it really kicked into gear, there are a lot of people really all over it. But like any trend or fad, it fades. Doesn't mean there aren't still people posting on social media and things like that, but it's not as like. Well, I think more and more people are like, I don't need that,
right?
So in other words, it's fallen off. Mm-hmm. There may be as many posts, but it's being done by the same group of people and not a wide variety of people. Yeah. And I don't understand why a guy in that position, who has a powerful spot. He is the TV voice of the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And as you know, Joe Castiglione's retiring as the voice of the Red Sox after this weekend. So 42 years. And they did a piece where they went through all the guys that he's worked with over the years. I think there's 16 or 17, including Sean McDonough, people like that. Sean Grandy, who's the radio voice of the Celtics, and he's been that since 2001, okay, actually worked with him. And I'm going to read you a quote. A quote I deeply believe in. He said, and Grandy said this, because remember, I mean, the Celtics have won 18 championships. Grandy's announced 2 of them as the play-by-play guy, okay, 8 and this past season. He said, quote, to be the voice of a franchise, particularly a heritage one, is a sacred trust. See, I absolutely believe that.
1,000%.
All right? In other words, beyond words, I mean, I get to be the voice of Penn State football. To me, that's an iconic franchise. Okay, it's and it's a sacred trust. I mean, believe me, this is one of the few things in which I can speak with authority. Joe has lived up to that trust. I'm talking about Castiglione, Joe has lived up to that trust for over 4 decades and did it with honor, making championship moments A lot of people never thought they'd live to see or hear forever. And he's right about that. Yeah. When you have, and goes to Michael Kay. Michael Kay has one of those. First of all, it's a cherished spot to be one of, in Major League Baseball, with one of 30 franchises in a world of 8 billion people. Michael Kay does his job with intelligence, dignity, right? I mean, whenever I've listened to him, he is a pro's pro. But then he does the show, and he does the show because, like anybody else, let's get some money here. But there's no need to react on his part to social media. They can't do his job.
Right.
They can't do his job.
Right.
And but Sean Grandy's right. When you are not just broadcasting for a team, and there's a world of 8 billion people, so he's one of 30 television jobs in the world. Now, there's radio announcers, things like that. But he's got one of 30, and he's with, like, the marquee franchise of the sport.
Premier of them all, yeah.
Right? The marquee franchise of the sport. He doesn't need to react to social media.
No, and you make it worse by making a comment like that because you have no idea. Like, a lot of those on the outside looking in didn't read the full story, and they're looking at that. They're looking at that thinking those were giving the Yankees or Michael Kay on his show those ratings. Feels like he's calling them that. And that's the unfortunate part of it all is, no matter who you are, and I've said this for many years, no matter who you are on radio, no matter who you are on TV, there are two things that keep you going. I don't care how big you are. I don't care if you're Howard Stern, and I don't care if you're the intern that's just starting. You need the advertisers. You especially need the listeners.
Yeah.
And the people.
You're
the audience.
You're nothing without
You're
the
not
audience.
going anywhere without the two of them.
What makes it a sacred trust when it's a heritage franchise. Okay? Ohio State football, Michigan football, Texas football, USC football, Notre Dame football, Penn State football, whatever. Okay? I'm not saying being the voice of Florida Atlantic is not a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Absolutely.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, sure.
There's no question about it. It's an incredible job to have. Right? But there's a reason that there's 110,000 people in this stadium on Saturday night. There's a reason there's going to be 105,000 at Ohio Stadium at the Horseshoe. Why there's 111 at Michigan. Why the Yankees are the Yankees. Why the Red Sox are the Red Sox. Why the Celtics are the Celtics. Why the Lakers are the Lakers. Right? It's a little bit different, even though a lot of it's the same, but it's a little bit different because of the size of the fan base and the passion of the fan base. And what does he need to be reacting to social media for? I mean, no offense, Michael Kay's a big time. He's a big time broadcaster. Yeah. What the heck does he care? It's what some individual puts out on social media. Yeah. For all we know, it's a bot.
Yeah, exactly. You have no idea what it is.
For all we know, it's a bot.
Absolutely.
I mean, to broadcast for any team, there's a trust between, as the conduit between the game and the fan, and it's all about the fan. You don't sit there and look at the fans and say, bunch of lowlifes. I mean, what are you reacting to that for?
You don't. You can't. And you just.
I know what is productive in that.
Not a thing. You can't even. You can't even in this day and age say anything remotely close to that. You can't say, let's say Michael Kay, I don't know the full quote, let's say he said, 99% of you fans are amazing, the 1% of you lowlifes, they're going to remember that 1%.
Right.
They're not going to know that 99% that you just said.
But
it doesn't make sense to say it.
He's a big time.
Yeah.
He's big time.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I think he's really good at what he does.
It's incredible. Absolutely.
Really good. And why does he need to react to something? He knows how to do it. He knows how to do his job, right? He knows how to do his job better than the people that are listening.
Absolutely.
He understands the traffic of it, how you have to handle it. It's okay for him to make an observation that Dominguez, who is a defensive liability in left field, that maybe they go with a different option there. It's okay to talk about. You have 162 games. You got a lot of room to talk. I mean, a lot of room to talk, a lot of room to maybe speculate, a lot of, a lot of room to put some thoughts out there. You don't need to react to social media. He doesn't. No. It's amazing. On the world of social media, Jim Nantz, Joe Buck, and Al Michaels and Kevin Burkhardt all have something in common. None of them are on social media. No. Yeah, I was literally about to reference Joe Buck, and I'd say, they're not on social media.
Yep. And the flip side of it, they don't pay attention to it. Joe Buck has gotten, for some unearthly reason, a lot of hate, and I just don't get it.
I don't get it at all. The
Joe
Buck thing has confused me forever.
I think as good as it gets.
Everything I listened to, and even when he did the U.S. Open, I thought he was terrific.
Yeah, terrific. Yep.
Baseball, terrific. Football, terrific. He's really great at what he does.
Even when Fox cut costs and he was doing post-game show and doing the play-by-play, terrific.
Yeah.
His HBO show, terrific. And my point being, he's in the spot that I think it's a dream job for a lot of sports fans, is Monday Night Football. And you have, he's in a spot where he takes criticism. I don't hear Joe Buck saying those things. I don't hear, Joe Buck has taken more criticism than Michael Kay over the years. Al Michaels, same thing.
Yeah.
I don't hear them saying anything. No. And it just,
there's no need. My point is, when you're as good as Michael Kay is.
Yeah.
And he's good.
For a premier franchise. Right. Yeah. If not the premier franchise.
He's earned his spot, and he's earned his longevity because he's been good, and he's a pro's pro. He doesn't need to react to somebody who can't do his job.
No.
I mean, I don't understand. But on his talk show, he's been, like, for whatever reason, this particular year, there have been a lot of stories written about him reacting to social media and so forth. And it's not as if people, look, is everybody going to love the job you do? Of course not.
No.
Of course not. All right? It's just the nature of it. Mm-hmm. If you can somehow have the majority or the vast majority of people go, yeah, he's pretty good.
Exactly. Right? Batting average being high.
You're doing pretty well, right? Are there going to be people that just can't stand the job you do? Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. We can't all have the universal love you have.
It's tough.
We all can't have that. Yeah. It's and I'm not surprised. I mean, a guy like you,
But that's it's also the kind of thing that has gotten certain other broadcasters in New York that criticize James Franklin in trouble. Yeah, they open their mouths in a lot of ways. The guy who was on with used to have show on WFAN.
Talking about Mike Francesa?
Yeah, Francesa.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never met him.
I never have either. No. I've met Mad Dog. Good guy, actually, believe it or not. But
Russo? I've never met Russo. I always wanted to meet Russo.
Met Russo. Good guy.
Yeah.
But
I always wanted to meet him. It's like because I've listened to his show. I mean, but you know what?
It just all of us have different styles. There's no question about that. That's again the nature of our business too. But there's some of the things that come out of people's mouths sometimes. I don't understand it. We're human. I get that aspect of it too. But
are you sure? You're really, in a lot of ways, I feel like a machine.
Hey, Albert Pujols was a pretty good machine for many years.
Oh, just so.
He was the machine. He was
so.
That was the perfect nickname for that guy. He was, oh man.
Yeah.
In his heyday, there was nobody better.
But again, I don't get it.
No, I don't either.
I mean, nobody wants to be criticized. Of course not.
No.
But as I said earlier, look at Sean Grandy's right. It's not like there's levels, but he said, look, he says, when you're broadcasting an iconic franchise, there is something to it. mean,
the other part of it is
like I said, the Florida Atlantic job is a great job, right? And whomever's, I have no idea who's doing it. I'm sure they're great at it, right? But if the Ohio State job opened up tomorrow, what would the line be like to get that job?
No. Absolutely.
Now Paul's going to sign. Paul told me. I think Paul's going to sign a 5-year deal with them. So it's
That's
so.
good.
I mean, I've already talked,
good.
so I can bring that up because I already know what Paul's going to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a. But there's a reason why there would be a line that would open up for that.
Sure.
Okay? It has nothing to do with the Florida Atlantic job. It has to do with the fact that, hey, Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why it is what it is. And it's great to be the Charlotte Hornets play-by-play guy.
Sure.
But if the Celtics job opened up, you had an opportunity, or the Lakers job opened up, you might consider going for it only because, like, within the hierarchy of what the league is, right? I mean, that might be something that, you take a long, hard look at.
Sure.
I mean, in terms of career goals, things like that.
Yeah, there's a reason.
And Michael Kay, if the Yankees job opened up, the line to try and fill that spot would be from here to San Antonio.
No doubt.
People who would want that job in the business.
Absolutely.
They want any job in the business. I mean, even the Utah Hockey Club, for goodness sakes. I mean, it's just starting out, and the reason they can't call it a whiteout this weekend. You know that story, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, very.
Hey,
but
just so people, but I'm just saying, he doesn't need to react to this.
No.
He's better. It's not like he's above it, but he's better than that.
He's better than it. And that's the other part for him and for a lot of other people, and the same thing goes for Ohio State and Columbus. You're in a high populated area.
Sure you are.
You're going to have people that, as you said, you're not going to be liked by everybody. You're going to have a little higher criticism when you're in a bigger populated area. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, in terms of premier jobs, there's a reason. Mike Breen's the voice of the Knicks.
Oh,
probably the best broadcaster basketball-wise that I've heard in 30 years.
He's the best. The best.
Absolutely. No ego.
Oh,
incredible guy.
Oh, he is. No.
Absolutely.
When he came in
Incredible
and guest lectured in the broadcasting class I teach.
Yeah.
And he was just phenomenal.
He was. Absolutely.
I mean,
incredible.
he just was. He was. What he told everybody essentially is that you can be as good as he is. Yeah. Right. And have no ego about anything. He's just down to earth. I can't say enough good things about Mike. I cannot. But yeah, it's. I don't understand why he reacts to that. Only because the people he's reacting to can't do his job.
No. No.
So it's
And even those that can want his job. That's why the criticism is what it is. It's not. It's literally.
Yeah, I don't get it. Again, I don't get it.
No,
as to why somebody that's that good, really big time, the whole thing, has to react to people because he knows what he's doing, and he should be the first one to know he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
They're saying this. Who cares? Okay, you got direct deposit. You're good.
Yeah. And that's not, to be clear, that's not a who cares what the fans think moment.
Oh,
That's a I'm not listening to.
But again,
people who are behind the computer screen who have never seen or met you and are essentially called what they're called for a reason.
But again,
it's literally you just don't pay attention to it.
Right. He doesn't need to do it.
And then the other part of it is you talk about, not everybody's going to be pleased, but a lot of people will. There are a lot of people that love Michael Kay, and those are the people that he should appreciate a lot more. When you make a comment like that, those that appreciate you are going to look at that and say, is he talking about me?
Yeah.
That's the other problem with it. Yeah. You are essentially downplaying and criticizing your audience, which you can't do. You can't group everybody together.
Again, you're not going to be loved by everybody. There are going to be people. Look, there are going to be people that hate the job you do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
1,000%.
Well, guess what? There isn't a single thing. I mean, okay. There's nothing I can do. Zero. To change their mind. Zero. I can't. Nothing to change their mind. So don't bother.
Right.
just don't bother. All right. Okay. It doesn't mean that you can't do everything you can to improve, make yourself better all the time. That has to be the constant goal, to improve and make yourself better all the time. You want the next game to be better than the previous game.
Absolutely.
But there's also a segment of people out there that no matter what you do are not going to like you. And you cannot go out there and react to the fact that they just don't like you. Okay, that's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
there's plenty that do like you. That's the other part of it.
Again, you're the only one I know that's universally loved.
Yeah.
Well, except your family. Your family didn't really. Okay,
I'll tell
it's
you.
a different story. Because I've talked to your brother. It's just kind of a very contentious relationship. Contentious, good word.
Well, he's a Falcons fan, so it's, that's.
He's a Falcons fan?
He's a Falcons fan.
How did he become a Falcons fan?
I think Deion Sanders, I believe.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Falcons fan, yeah.
Wow.
Falcons. He's all over the place. Falcons fan, Cardinals fan, Knicks fan.
Jeez.
Yeah. Knicks are the one that I look at and say, what?
I mean, you can be a fan of anything. It doesn't matter.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. I know plenty of people not named me that are grown in a city and have not been a fan of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I mean, but let me put it this way: I encountered some Falcon fans in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl. But that's the only place I've encountered Falcon fans in my lifetime.
When Vic was coming around as a rookie, second-year guy, I encountered a lot of them. But other than that, yeah, not anymore.
And your brother's a Falcons fan.
Atlanta Falcons.
Yikes.
That's what I say. It's a franchise.
No, I mean, no. It's just that's out of left field.
Yeah, you don't see it. You don't see it. You don't see it often. And I remember the days before, Fanatics and all those things.
Yeah.
It was almost impossible to find stuff for him for holidays because you could never, nobody had Falcons jerseys.
Yeah. Now it's like the Braves. Okay.
Yeah.
The Braves are different,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason is that it no longer is like this. But the Braves were on TBS
All the time. Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
and when I first started living here, the Braves were on every night.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean every night into the 90s. They were on every night on TBS.
Yeah.
Right? It was then WTBS.
Yeah.
But they were on here in State College
Sure.
and in Center County
Absolutely.
every night.
Every night.
So
Yeah.
there were Braves fans here
Yeah.
because they were on all the time. And guess what?
Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah.
They were successful.
Yeah.
All right?
You heard Skip Carey say, Braves win, plenty of times.
I'll give you my favorite Skip Carey story. I'm watching the Braves and the Giants. I don't know if it was Candlestick Park or the new place. It doesn't matter. And a typical style of Skip Carey. He has to read the promo card. It's the ninth inning. He says, as soon as the Braves turn a 6-4-3 double play, it'll be the outlaw Josie Wales, starring Clint Eastwood here on TBS. Right? And the next pitch, grounded to short, 6-4-3. Eastwood is next. Like that is
Yep.
just too good.
There was the Mariners guy, I think, did the same thing. Like, the Magnificent Seven warming up as soon as Leonard hits into a 6-4-3. Wouldn't you know it? Jeff Leonard hit into a 6-4-3.
Was that Dave Niehaus?
I think it was Niehaus.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that was like, I was watching that. I go, that's just great. but the Braves are on all the time here. The Falcons aren't. See, there's a difference between the two.
No.
Like the Hawks and the Falcons and the hockey team at the moment, whether it was the Flames or the Thrashers, were never on here.
Yeah.
But the Braves are on here all the time. So, of course, they have fans up here.
Yep.
Because they're on all the time. And they won.
Yeah. Yep.
Which we didn't get the Rowdy Tellez, by the way, but that was Bush League.
Completely.
What they did.
Completely.
What the Pirates did was Bush League.
Completely.
If you're going to do that, you should have done that on August 28th.
Yeah.
August 28th,
Given them a
and
chance.
given a chance to sign with
Agreed.
somebody
Agree.
to be a part of a playoff run for somebody. If you knew you were going to do that,
Absolutely agreed.
okay?
Yeah.
But 4 plate appearances shy of a bonus, and they cut this guy?
Yeah. That's
Cut him.
Bush League. Completely
Like-
Bush League.
I mean, that is...
That's why you have the reputation you have.
You wonder why
Yeah.
people have questions about your franchise.
Yeah.
And it's moves like that
Absolutely.
that do nothing to enhance
No.
the image of your franchise. Nothing.
No. And you cannot appease the fan, but you're not going to sit there and say, well, we didn't know. You knew.
Come on,
Absolutely
you
not.
didn't know, for goodness sakes.
Absolutely not.
Everybody who's covering the team knew.
Yeah, you're full of it. You know.
Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Again, if you were intending on getting rid of him,
Should have done it.
you should have done it
Absolutely
August
agree.
28th. That way, before the August 31, where he could be eligible for a postseason spot, right? You could have done that and somebody could have signed him. Nope. It's just...
Man, this is, it does relate to it. There's so many things that made Tom Brady great. And one of those things, anytime Chris Godwin needed a catch for a bonus, Gronk needed a catch, he got it to him.
Yep.
He got it to him every time.
Yep.
And it's what made Brady the ultimate teammate, the ultimate competitor. Yes, he was fiery, there's no doubt. When you reach his status, that happens. And that's one of the things that made him great. Absolutely.
Well, and then when he threw the, what was his 600th touchdown pass or 500 to Mike Evans?
Mike Evans,
threw the ball into the stands. Okay, so.
They got it back.
Could we have the ball back? He accidentally got emotional and threw it into the stands. Okay.
The guy that caught it was not the same guy that caught Otani's 50.
No. But what the Pirates do? I mean, I'm sorry.
I agree.
If you want to be known as a Bush League franchise, you do that.
Yep.
There's a major league way of handling that. You obviously have been thinking about this.
Yeah.
Why not do it a month earlier where it's like, hey, good. Hey, look, we're going to DFA you, okay? Yeah. But we're going to do it now because it'll give you and your agent an opportunity. Maybe you can get to a contender, maybe get to the postseason, something.
Sure.
We'll give you some time.
Yeah.
Or when rosters are being expanded, where do they go, to 28 now?
28 now. I think it is,
right? They only add like a couple. It used to be to 40.
Used to be 40, yep.
But they're going to add a couple to 28. Maybe somebody will pick you up.
Yep.
Because you're not in our plans for next year. Okay. That's okay. At least you've handled it the right way. What they did was 180 of the wrong way.
100%.
All right. How is it you are universally loved? It's just...
it's the charm. It must be.
I've got to... You know what? You do have a certain charm about you.
That's right.
You know, it's... Like I walk in the hallway, I feel like for me personally, there's an invisibility factor. Right? Yeah, it's just, people think I'm the janitor. You are, hey, Jason, how are you? Jason? Oh, Jason.
It's like when Norm walked in the bar, cheers. Afternoon, everybody. No.
My favorite was he walked into the bar. And Norm, Here he goes, Norm. He goes, Normie, how are you today? He says, "A dog-eat-dog world out there, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear." That was one of the great ones. So my brother's a diehard Yankee fan.
Yeah.
I was able to get tickets to see for a Red Sox game. In fact, they were playing the Phillies that night. Pedro Martinez pitched. The Red Sox won the game 12-1. Okay. This is like one of those like, oh, hey, this is fun.
Yeah.
All right. So it was up in the EMC club right behind home plate. Again, I got lucky. Somebody said, hey, I bought my tickets. Right. So I brought 3 people with me, 2 brother-in-laws and my brother. Well, my brother's a diehard Yankee fan. Well, Tom Warner, of course, is one of the owners of the Red Sox. And at this point, they had the actual bar from the set of Cheers up in the club.
Nice.
Like, so he looks at me and goes, "Yeah, what's the deal with the bar?" I said, "Well, that's the actual bar from the set of Cheers that they used on the show." He goes, "Really?" I said, I pointed over, I said, "That's Norm's chair." So my brother goes over. He says, "You think they'd mind?" He says, "I don't think so. I think it's here for a reason." He sits in Norm's chair. He looks at me and he says, "You know what? I hate the Red Sox. I hate them. But this is really cool."
That's awesome. That is cool.
So at least didn't convert him in any way, shape, or form, but the experience for him on that particular night was good enough.